What is up everybody, my name's AK and welcome to the channel. So we're just off the back of the AMD RDNA 2 reveal event, that was just a bit earlier today, and I have to say it's looking pretty impressive for AMD, but it did get me thinking, what's the best GPU for Call of Duty? Because historically, and even now, esports titles are played at lower resolutions, say 1080p, just for the highest performance and frame rate that you get as opposed to playing at 1440p or even 4K. So where does this leave a competitive Call of Duty player that's looking to get the best value GPU with the best performance for the best price? So in today's video I hope to offer some insight into this, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now first of all, I want to start with saying there is no one perfect GPU for COD. It's going to depend on what you already have or don't have, as well as a variety of other factors including your budget, if your monitor's optimized for a certain graphics card, or even just personal preference. You know, some people prefer AMD or NVIDIA as a brand. Personally, I'm more of an AMD person. I have a full AMD build at the moment, and I'm probably going to keep it that way going into next year. Now, before we get started, there's two things that I'm going to need you to check. Number one, does your monitor support FreeSync or GSync? Now, these are essentially optimizations for your monitor based on NVIDIA or AMD hardware. So if you don't know, it'll be written somewhere either on your monitor. Mine's in just written on the top corner. But if not, just give a quick Google search of your monitor make, and you should see that on the website. Now, if you have a FreeSync monitor like me, you're going to want to maybe optimize and go for an AMD graphics card. But if you have a GSync monitor, you might want to go for an NVIDIA card. Now, they're not set in stone. You don't have to have FreeSync with AMD and GSync with NVIDIA, but it's what they're optimized for. So if you're looking for that top performance, it's probably the best way to do it. And point number two, make sure that whatever GPU you get, you're not going to be bottlenecking the rest of your system. So what is a bottleneck? For those of you that don't know, it's essentially when you have a one piece of hardware that its performance is so much better than the rest of the system that the rest of the system actually limits it from achieving its full potential. So if you were to put the highest end graphics card in a potato $100 PC, you're going to understand that the rest of the system is going to stop that really good graphics card reaching its full potential. So a quick Google search online should check that you've got sufficient RAM and a good enough processor to handle whatever graphics card you throw in there, and obviously make sure you've got enough wattage from your power supply. But with that said and done, let's move on. Now, I guess a good place to start will be with Call of Duty themselves. They do publish their recommended and minimum system requirements for the game. So for this, we're going to be looking at the recommended system requirements as opposed to the minimum ones, because when you're playing competitively, you want the game to run smooth and a decent graphics so that you're not running around in a pixelated mess, because the minimum graphics are pretty much just scraping by. So you're going to want some clearance. You're going to want to be playing at least at a good frame rate. So there's a link in the description. The first link will be to pcgamebenchmark.com. It's just a little tool they've made where you can put in your processor, your graphics card and your RAM, I believe, and then it will do a quick check against the recommended and minimum system requirements of Call of Duty, and will just return whether your graphics card is good enough or your system is good enough to be able to play the game. So if you haven't done that and you're unsure whether it will be, you can go do that now. Now personally, for the beta, I used the AMD RX 580 graphics card, which is actually one that Activision suggest as a recommended graphics card. So I did that paired with a Ryzen 7 2700X, and I had a consistent frame rate of 90 and above on good graphics settings. So that just sort of confirms that this is actually a good recommended GPU for Call of Duty Cold War. And videocardbenchmark.com even ranks the RX 580 as the third best price to performance card. So for those of you that are looking to get a cheap and effective GPU for around 170 quid, I think they sell for at the moment, or even cheaper second hand, you can pick up an RX 580 and that will do you more than well for the year. Now, I will just add, for those of you that are looking at getting an RX 580 or similar graphics card second hand, is a lot of the older AMD graphics cards have been used for crypto mining, and so this might mean that they've been used quite extensively when you buy them. So you might want to check that, see if it's come from someone that has been doing crypto mining, and if it does, you maybe consider paying a bit less, because being that they've been used a lot more, they're probably more likely to fail. But yeah, just good something to consider. Now, for those of you looking for an NVIDIA counterpart to something like this, I'd say something like a GTX 1660 or 1660 Super should do the job well. But as it's an NVIDIA card and there isn't an exact match to the RX 580 from NVIDIA, so you may be spending a little bit more for the performance, but that is pretty consistent across the board with NVIDIA. You do tend to pay a bit of a premium. Now from here, everything depends on your current system or the system that you're building and how much you're willing to fork out for your new graphics card. So rather than go through every possible CPU and graphics card combination, I'll instead offer my opinion on good graphics cards at a range of different price points. So the cards that I've already mentioned represent the graphics cards at the sort of entry level, the recommended system requirements, and they come in at roughly around the £200 mark. Stepping that up to the mid-range or the about £300 to £400 mark or so, my suggestion would be something like the RX 5700 from AMD side, or maybe the 2060 Super from NVIDIA side. So these will offer definite 120 plus FPS, meaning you can make the most of your high refresh rate monitors and the competitive edge that will give us next year. However, as with everything in this video, consider what works best for your system before going out and buying anything, because you can actually get quite significant ranges in performance from different board partners. So you know, you've got like Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, and then a lot more of the sort of lesser known ones, and you can actually get some quite significant changes in performance even on the same chipset. So make sure to read any reviews before you go out and buy anything. So moving on to the higher end, around the £400 to £500 mark, we're looking to the new cards that AMD have actually revealed today. The 6800 and the 6800 XT will both fit in this price range and offer some of the highest graphics processing power that we've seen from any graphics card. The only slight problem with these is that they'll be released on November the 18th, which is actually 5 days after Call of Duty releases on November the 13th. So consider that you might have to wait a couple of weeks before you've got that. So for someone in my position that already has a PC that works and can run the game, this is probably what I'm going to do. I think I'm looking at the 6800 XT, and I'm going to be keeping this computer for a couple of weeks and then upgrading when I can get my hands on a 6800 XT. Now again, for those of you on the NVIDIA side, assuming they can keep up with the high demand for the cards, the 3070 is going to offer some great performance, which will definitely make sure the game is running smooth, even at the highest settings. Now this actually retails tomorrow. They set it back from a while ago, I think just to keep up with the amount of stock or the amount of demand there was for these cards. But most likely, as of when this video is released, that will be today. So if you're looking to get one, make sure you go and check it. I think it's 1 PM they get released, so yeah, you're going to need to keep your eyes out and be very quick if you want to try and get one. So that's about it for the video. Hopefully you guys found it useful. If so, please consider dropping a like or subscribing to the channel to catch any future videos. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Have a good one.